What you're about to hear could change everything. We're going to talk about that isolation that's been surrounding you, the signs that it's coming to an end, and how that feeling of disconnection is actually a sign that you're about to go through a powerful transformation. My name is Cosmin, and although I consider myself an eternal learner, I have spent years guiding people to discover their true inner power without depending on external validation or the expectations of others. Through my work and several ebooks I have written, I have helped many understand why the isolation you feel is part of a necessary process, and how to overcome it to take the next step in your personal evolution. But before you go any further, I want to make one thing clear. If you prefer to cling to what is comfortable, if you are looking to continue living according to the expectations of others, this video is not for you. Now, if you feel that this discomfort is more than just a malaise, if you recognize that you have gone through this phase for a reason, and you are ready to break away from isolation and enter a new stage of your life, then stay until the end. What you are about to discover may be the key you have been waiting for. Let's go. 1. Discomfort in the family environment. You've felt that discomfort, right? That moment when everything that used to give you peace now feels like a heavy burden. That space that used to be your refuge, your sanctuary, now oppresses you, weighs you down, suffocates you. And you ask yourself, why? Why do that place, those people, those habits that used to bring you so much peace now seem insufficient, even suffocating? Let me tell you something powerful. That discomfort is not a coincidence. It is not a mistake or a simple annoyance. It is a deep signal, and not just any signal. It is the universe, your interior, shouting at you that you have grown, that you are no longer the same person who used to find comfort in that environment. Your internal expansion has surpassed the physical and emotional limitations of that space that once held you. Isolation has transformed you. That IT has forced you to look inward, to question, to discover parts of yourself you didn't know about before. And now, that discomfort you feel is living evidence of your evolution. Isolation has given you the space to grow, but the time has come to recognize a fundamental truth. You have grown out of your shell. You have grown beyond what that environment can offer you. What was once your refuge now feels like a prison. The isolation has served its purpose. It gave you a chance to stop, to feel, to heal, but it can no longer hold you back. Not because the place has changed, but because you have changed. You have awakened a deeper awareness, a clarity that was not there before. You have overcome the invisible barriers that kept you small. And now, the discomfort you feel is nothing more than your being asking for expansion. Discomfort is not something you should fear, that on the contrary, it is your most powerful guide. It is the internal compass that tells you that the cycle of isolation is coming to an end. The universe is pushing you to break away from what no longer serves you, preparing you to take the next leap. A leap into the unknown, into what you have not yet experienced, but which you know deep down belongs to you. Listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you. The mind, that part of you that seeks to protect you, will try to convince you to stay where you are. It will tell you that you are being ungrateful, that what you have is enough, that you don't need more. But that is a trap, because real growth never feels comfortable. And if you feel like that place that once gave you peace now oppresses you, it is because you have reached the limit of what that space could teach you. It is time to move. It is time to expand. But be aware of this. Change doesn't always mean moving physically. Real change, life-changing change, begins within you. It's not just about leaving people or places behind. It's about rewiring your consciousness, breaking the invisible chains you've imposed on yourself, dismantling the barriers you've created in your mind. Discomfort is the prelude to freedom, that it's your signal that isolation is ending. Isolation was necessary for you to grow, for you to face your shadows, for you to understand who you are at your deepest core. But now, it's time to step outside. Not because you're running away from discomfort, but because discomfort is calling you towards something greater. Isolation is not the end, that it is the fertile ground where you have cultivated your being, where you have healed the broken parts and grown in silence. But its purpose has been fulfilled. Isolation has taught you what you needed to learn. It has challenged you, broken you, and rebuilt you. And now it is time to go beyond. The discomfort you feel is the friction between what you were and what you are meant to be. That is the universe pushing you to let go of what no longer serves you, to free yourself from what limits you. It's the unmistakable sign that you're ready to move on to a new stage in your life. But be careful, many feel this discomfort and choose to stay. They settle. They cling to what is safe, what they know. They fear change. They fear the unknown. But what happens when you refuse to move forward? That discomfort, which is at first just a murmur, becomes a scream. It consumes you. It robs you of peace, of tranquility. The universe will not allow you to remain small when you are meant to be great. Your isolation is over, that it's time to break free from what's keeping you stuck. It's time to hear the call and take that leap. That leap you've been avoiding out of fear, out of insecurity. The time has come, and on the other side of that discomfort is true freedom. The freedom that only those who dare to leave behind the known and dive into the unknown achieve. Make no mistake, discomfort is your ally. It's confirmation that you've changed. And if you choose to ignore it, you'll be rejecting the greatest gift the universe is offering you. The opportunity to become who you've always so. The next time you feel that discomfort, that desire to escape, to move, to change, don't push it away. Don't try to smooth it over. Listen to it. It's your truth, your deepest essence calling out to you. It's the universe telling you that you're ready. Isolation was necessary, but it's not your home anymore. It's time to get out of the cave, to break out of the shell, to fly. Because what awaits you on the other side of this discomfort is nothing other than absolute freedom. And that, my dear, is the only life that is truly worth living. Been meant to be. 2. Intuitive changes in the environment. You feel like something is moving inside you, right? That discomfort we talked about earlier is starting to transform into something more. It's no longer just a malaise you can ignore. It's an inner voice, a powerful intuition pushing you, whispering to you that something has to change. It's not a coincidence. It's a force, almost visceral, that tells you that your physical environment, that space you inhabit, can no longer sustain the greatness of what you are becoming. Listen carefully. This is not just a whim or a superficial desire to move furniture or redecorate. No, what you feel is much deeper. It is your soul crying out for an environment that reflects your inner growth. It is telling you that what once surrounded you, that space that once protected and nourished you, can no longer remain the same. You have changed too much. Your being has evolved. You have grown. And with that growth comes an inescapable need for expansion, for liberation. Do you notice it? It's as if the walls around you are closing in on you. Not because the space has changed, but because you have changed. That intuition you feel is nothing other than the reflection of your inner self demanding more space, more air, more freedom. The space in which you could live before is no longer enough. Your being can no longer be contained within the same limits. It's like everything around you, every object, every corner of your home, starts to weigh you down, as if everything that was once cozy, warm, and familiar now becomes a constant reminder of what you are no longer. You can no longer fit into your own space because your inner self has expanded so much that it's pushing the boundaries of your external reality. And what happens when you don't listen to that intuition? You feel trapped. It's like everything in your environment starts to fall apart. Little things you didn't notice before start to bother you. A window that doesn't open properly, a corner that feels dark, objects you once adored now seem out of place. Everything seems out of sync, because it is. The environment around you is a direct reflection of your inner state. And when your inner self has grown, your surroundings must adjust to reflect that growth. There is no escape. This intuitive feeling is unstoppable. It is calling you to make changes, to reconfigure your reality. It is the universe asking you to prepare the ground for what is to come. Do you know what happens when you ignore this call? You stagnate. You get stuck in a space that is no longer for you. It's like you're trying to fit into clothes that are too small for you. It limits you. It suffocates you. And soon, if you don't do something about it, that environment will start to feel like a prison. But let me tell you something more powerful. That impulse, that intuition you feel, is not just for you to change your external environment. It is a sign that something big is about to happen in your life. These changes you feel are not just decorative, they are not just superficial. They are the preparation for something much greater. They are the prelude to a monumental transformation. What is at stake here is not just your physical comfort, but your complete liberation. This is the first step to creating an environment that resonates with who you really are now, not who you used to be. It's like your intuition is laying the groundwork for the next chapter in your life. And you can't help it. Your soul is crying out for a change of scenery. Not because the physical environment itself is the problem, but because you're ready for something more. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to ignore that inner whisper that pushes you to act? Are you going to settle for continuing to live in a space that no longer reflects your greatness? Or, on the contrary, are you going to take that brave step and create an environment that is aligned with the highest version of yourself? Make no mistake, making these changes isn't easy. Changing your physical environment means you're accepting that you yourself have changed, and not everyone is ready for that. Most people prefer to continue living in the comfort of the known, in spaces that feel familiar, even if they no longer serve them. But not you. You're not the majority. If you're feeling this call, this push towards something more, it's because you're destined for something bigger. And that destiny needs space to manifest. It's time to move, to create an environment that is aligned with your inner evolution. You don't have to know all the details. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You just have to listen to your intuition. Let it guide you. If you feel it's time to change homes, change cities, reorganize your space, do it. Don't question it. It's your soul speaking. Every change you make in your external environment is a direct reflection of the movement taking place within your inner self. And the faster you move, the faster you respond to this call, the faster you will free yourself from the weight of what no longer serves you. Listen to that intuition. Make the changes your soul is asking you to make. Because I promise you that on the other side of that change, there is something much greater waiting for you. An environment where your expansion will not only be possible, but inevitable. A space where you can breathe deeply and feel like you are finally home. Not in a physical home, but in the home of your own being. This is not just a change. This is the beginning of your new reality. A reality aligned with who you really are. 3. Feeling of transition. So, here you are. You can no longer deny what you feel. The discomfort in your environment is impossible to ignore. You've listened to that intuition that pushes you to move, to change, to create space for your expansion. And as you move, as you begin to make those adjustments, something deeper begins to awaken within you. It's familiar, right? You recognize it. That feeling that something is shifting. It's not the first time you've felt it. You've been here before, at other key moments in your life. It's like a quiet but powerful energy is moving just beneath the surface of everything you know. You felt yourself here before, in that space between what was and what is about to be. It's a transition. It's like the very air is thick with possibility, but also uncertainty. You know you're on the brink of something huge. You feel it in your bones, in your skin, in every breath. Something is about to change, something big, something that could completely redefine who you are. And I'll tell you what, that's exactly what's happening. This process, this inner journey you are on, is reaching a crucial point. You are on the cusp of a radical transformation. And you know it. You recognize it because you have gone through transitions before, though perhaps not of this magnitude. There is a pattern that repeats itself, a pattern that has always been the prelude to something momentous in your life. And now here you are again, on the verge of that same transformation. Every time you felt this way in the past, something changed. Maybe it wasn't obvious at the time. Maybe you couldn't see clearly where you were headed. But if you look back, you'll realize that always, those moments of uncertainty were the portals to a new version of yourself. They took you to places you'd only dreamed of before. And what you're experiencing now is no different. You find yourself back in that place of transition, on that threshold between what you were and what you were meant to be. You know what it means, even if you can't quite see it yet. You sense that something is moving, changing. You notice it in the small details, in how you interact with others, in the decisions you make, in the thoughts that arise in the quiet moments. It's as if a wiser part of you is guiding your every step, showing you a new path, pushing you toward a destination you haven't yet fully understood, but that you know belongs to you. And the most powerful thing of all is that even though there is uncertainty, even though you don't have all the answers, there is a part of you that feels ready. Because even though you may be reeling from the unknown, something inside you knows that it is time to transform completely. This sense of transition is nothing more than a reflection of the inner readiness you have been cultivating. You have been planting these seeds for a long time, and now those roots are ready to bear fruit. But I'll tell you something else. You're not on the brink of just any change. You're on the brink of the most important change of your life. This isn't just any moment. This isn't just another transition. This is a transformation that will take you beyond everything you've ever known, beyond everything you've ever been. You're on the brink of breaking away from old versions of yourself that no longer serve you. You know this process isn't linear. You've been through it before. You've faced transitions. You've walked this path of uncertainty. And each time you've done it, you become bigger, stronger, more aligned with your truth. But now, this cycle is different. You feel it. This transition isn't just about evolving a little bit more. It's about being completely reborn. Do you realize? All those familiar patterns you recognize, all those sensations that let you know something is changing, are your deep self preparing the ground for what is to come. They are reminding you that all of this has a purpose, that you are not walking blindly. Because even if you don't see clearly what is coming, you feel it, and that feeling is your compass. It's the inner certainty, that feeling that tells you that you can't turn back now. This is your moment. The transformation is inevitable. It's already happening. Do you know what that means? That you are exactly where you are meant to be. Every single moment you have felt chaos, uncertainty, change, they have all brought you to this very moment. Every decision you have made, every doubt you have faced, every time you have felt on the verge of breaking down, has been a preparation. And now you are ready. You are in that in-between space, in that transition that precedes great changes. And although it may feel scary, although the ground beneath your feet may feel unstable, it is in this space that magic happens. This is the place where great transformations are forged. You've been here before, and you came out stronger. This time will be no different. Only this time, the transformation will be deeper, more significant. It will be the total rebirth of who you are truly meant to be. So I ask you, are you ready to take the leap? Because this sense of transition, this recognition that something is changing, is but the prelude to your greatest expansion. This time, there is no turning back. The change is already underway, and all you need to do is accept that you are ready to receive it. What's coming is bigger than you can imagine, and you're already prepared for a feeling of internal expansion. And this is where it all makes sense, don't you see? That feeling of inner expansion, that need for more, is not just a passing fancy. It is not a discomfort without reason. It is a clear sign, a signal that your isolation is ending. Because how could you continue to be isolated when everything inside you is crying out for expansion? You can no longer stay in the same internal space. You have outgrown it. You have grown too much. What once seemed enough is now too small for you. That little bubble of solitude, of introspection, that served as a way to look inside yourself, to face your shadows, can no longer sustain you. You are ready for something much bigger. It is no longer just a physical desire for change. It is something that is born from the depths of your being. Your spirit is pushing against the barriers of your own isolation, demanding to break through those walls and expand into the world. You feel it. I know it. It's like you can no longer breathe deeply in the space where you used to take refuge. As if that introspection that once filled you with clarity is now limiting you. Because what's really happening is that your inner self has grown so much that you need more space to move, to feel, to be. And here's the important thing. The inner expansion doesn't stop. It's unstoppable. And that very expansion is the proof that your time of isolation is coming to an end. You can no longer stay in that small space of solitude. You've done the inner work. You've faced your shadows. You've dismantled your defenses. You've looked deep inside yourself. And now, you're ready. That need for expansion you feel is not just a drive for personal growth. It is the call of life itself, inviting you to return to the world. It is telling you that it is no longer time to be alone, that you have grown enough within yourself, and now it is time to expand outwards. You can no longer stay in the same emotional, mental, or spiritual space. Your isolation has served its purpose. You have gone through the process of introspection, of self-knowledge, and now it is time to open those doors. It is time to share everything you have discovered. It is time to expand your being not only towards yourself, but towards the world. But here comes the most powerful part. That inner expansion is the confirmation that you are ready. Not just ready to leave your isolation, but ready to live from a place of total authenticity. You are no longer the person who entered this process of solitude. You're someone completely new. Someone who has found their truth in silence, in isolation, and now needs space to grow, to move, to connect with others in a completely new way, or something more. And that need for expansion is not just something you can ignore. It is a calling to enter a new cycle, a cycle where you can no longer stay inside yourself, locked in your own mind. It is time to get out. It is time to open up, because I am telling you now, what is coming is much bigger than what you have experienced so far. This is the sign you've been waiting for, that feeling that your own internal space is no longer enough. You have grown, you have surpassed your own limits, and now you need to move, to expand, to feel the world in a way you have never done before. It is spiritual, emotional, and mental expansion that is showing you the way. It is telling you that you can no longer stay where you were. Isolation is ending, and everything you have learned in solitude must now be shared. It must be expanded. It is time to connect with the world again, but this time you will do so from a completely different place. A place where your truth, your authenticity, your expansive self can be fully expressed. So what are you going to do with this inner expansion? Because you can't stay still. You can't stay inside. Not anymore. Expansion is inevitable, and with it comes the end of your isolation. You're ready for something bigger, and that something bigger is just on the other side of this feeling, on the other side of this need for more. Your isolation has been the time of preparation, the space where you have grown, but now it is time to expand into the world. The universe does not ask less of you. It asks more of you. It asks you to take everything you have learned in solitude and use it to create something new, something great, something that only you, from your inner expansion, can bring to the world. And as you continue to expand, as you continue to make space for all that you are, you will be creating the life you have always known as yours. Because that expansion will not stop until you are completely free. 5. Growing curiosity about the world. And now, something amazing is starting to happen. You feel a new energy starting to awaken inside you. It's subtle at first, but it's growing, gaining strength every day. That same curiosity that had been dulled during your isolation, that spark you once felt for the world, is now starting to re-emerge. It's as if, after so much time looking inward, something is calling you to look outward again. The world is waiting for you. It's not a coincidence. It's not just boredom or a desire for distraction. It's something much deeper. It's an awakening. You've spent so much time in that phase of introspection, on that journey into yourself, that now you feel it's time to explore further. It's not just about coming to the surface. It's about reconnecting with life itself. That same life that, during your isolation, seemed distant, is now beginning to call you. And that call cannot be ignored. It's as if a part of you that had been dormant, protected by the walls you had built, began to awaken with an insatiable thirst for knowledge, for experience, for life. You feel drawn back to the world. And that, my friend, is a clear sign. Your isolation is coming to an end. You feel that curiosity growing, right? That need to discover new things, to learn, to explore what the world has to offer. And it's not just the simple curiosity of a child seeing something new for the first time. It's a curiosity born of spiritual awakening. You've changed. You've changed. And now, the world you once knew is no longer enough. What used to satisfy you is no longer enough. Because you know deep down that there's more, so much more. It's as if, after so much time of introspection and isolation, your soul is ready to rediscover the beauty of the world, but with a completely new perspective. Things that once seemed trivial or unimportant now catch your attention with a depth and clarity you've never experienced before. The world is waiting for you to explore it, but not from the old version of yourself, but from this new self that has emerged from isolation. You can no longer stay locked inside. You can no longer ignore that inner voice that tells you there is more to discover. And not just more about the outside world, but more about yourself through that interaction with the world. Because what you are feeling is not just a desire to learn, it is an urge to reconnect, to rekindle that relationship that you had temporarily cut off while you immersed yourself in your own growth. Now, after all the inner work, after facing your shadows, you feel that the world has more to teach you. You know that there are more lessons waiting for you, not in solitude, but in the very experience of life. You feel that the knowledge you have gained within yourself must be put into practice, tested, expanded in that larger space that awaits you outside of yourself. And it's not just a curiosity for new things. It's a thirst for experience. It's the desire to live, to feel, to experience the world with a new intensity, a new depth. What was previously unnoticed now shines with a different light. You realize that the world hasn't changed, but you have. And that changes everything. What you once considered ordinary now has a new meaning. Conversations, places, people, everything calls to you in a way you haven't felt before. It's like, for the first time in a long time, you're truly alive. That curiosity isn't just for intellectual knowledge. It's a curiosity for life itself. You want to explore it, to touch it, to feel it in every one of your senses. You're ready to reconnect, ready to emerge from isolation, not just because your phase of solitude has served its purpose, but because you know that the next step in your evolution is out in the world, in interaction, in connection, in constant discovery. Make no mistake, this impulse you feel, this growing curiosity about the world, is your soul telling you that it is time to open the doors. It is time to come out. You can no longer hide. You can no longer stay in the safety of your isolation. The world needs you as much. This is the moment when you realize that you have moved beyond your introspection stage. You have learned what you needed to learn in your solitude. You have grown. You have faced yourself. And now, that curiosity you feel is the clear signal that it is time to return. But don't return as before. Return as the new you. The end of your isolation, it is marked by that spark of curiosity that burns within you. That curiosity that pushes you to learn, to explore, to reconnect. Because learning doesn't stop. Growth doesn't stop. But now, that growth can no longer happen just within you. Now, it must happen through the world, through your interactions, your explorations, your discoveries. So what will you do? Will you ignore that call? Or will you dare to go out into the world again, armed with all that you have learned, with all the wisdom you have acquired in solitude? Because I promise you this, the world is waiting for you. And what you will discover out there, what you will feel, what you will learn, will not only be new, it will be something that will transform your entire being. This growing curiosity is just the prelude to the next phase of your life. You are ready. It is time to learn, to reconnect, to explore, and to live life with an intensity you have never experienced before. Your isolation is ending, and the world is waiting for you. 6. Desire to reconnect with the world. You feel it, don't you? That unstoppable drive, that desire that grows every day inside you. What started as a simple spark of curiosity has now transformed into something much more powerful. It's the desire to reconnect. You can no longer ignore it. Your isolation is coming to an end. And the greatest proof of this is that it's no longer enough for you to stay alone in your own inner world. You feel the need to get out, to return to the world, to reconnect with people, with experiences, with life itself. You've been in that phase of solitude for a while. It's been your refuge, your safe space where you could face yourself, your shadows, your fears. You've done the inner work. You've become stronger from within. But now, something has changed. That space that used to be enough for you, that silence that used to give you peace, no longer supports you as it did. It's no longer enough. Because what happens now is that the outside world starts calling you. And it's not just a whisper. It's a scream. It's as if, suddenly, the doors you've closed for so long are about to burst open. As if the entire universe is conspiring to push you out of your solitude and reconnect with everything around you. You feel that urgency growing inside you. It's more than curiosity. It's a deep need to be part of something bigger than yourself again. It's like all the inner work you've done in solitude, all you've discovered about yourself, now needs to be shared, needs to be put into practice in the outside world. It's time to reconnect. And it's not just a superficial connection. It's not just going out to socialize or have empty conversations. It's something much deeper. It's a reconnection with the soul of the world. It's feeling like you're part of the human network again, that your energy is intertwined with that of others, that your experience is enriched through connections with people, with nature, with everything that is alive. The isolation has served its purpose. You have been given the time you need to find your truth, to heal the parts of yourself that needed attention. But now it is time to leave. Not to escape loneliness, but to integrate what you have learned. To return to the world with a new energy, a new awareness, a new openness. You are ready to reconnect. And what surprises you most about all this is the intensity of that desire. It is a force that you cannot stop. You can no longer be alone. You can no longer isolate yourself as before. You feel that the world has something for you, something that you can only find if you dare to leave your solitude and open your heart again. Because now you realize that isolation was just a phase. A necessary phase, yes, but not the final destination. The destination is reconnection, but not a reconnection from the same version of yourself that you were before. This time, it is a reconnection from a much more authentic place, much more aligned with your inner truth. You are no longer interested in connecting with others in superficial ways. You are now seeking depth. You are seeking relationships that challenge you, that inspire you, that uplift you. You are seeking experiences that make you feel alive again, that connect you to the beauty and intensity of life. You can no longer accept less. You have changed, and now the world has changed for you too. You realize that everything you learned in isolation, everything you discovered about yourself, only makes complete sense when you bring it back out into the world. It's time to reconnect. But this time, you'll do it from a place of wisdom. You'll do it knowing that you're not giving yourself to others out of need, but out of fullness. You've filled yourself, and now it's time to share that abundance with the world. The desire to reconnect is not a whim. It is a deep need of your soul. It is life itself pushing you out of your isolation, telling you that it is time to be part of the whole again. It is time to feel connected again with others, with the flow of life, with the pulse of the universe. And make no mistake, the world needs you as much as you need it. This momentum you feel isn't just a sign that your isolation is ending. It's a sign that the world is ready to receive you. It's ready for all that you have to offer, for all the wisdom you've accumulated in your solitude. You know you can't stay where you were. It's time to get out. It's time to allow the world to touch you again. It's time to reconnect with people, but in a way you haven't experienced before. This time, you're not looking for approval or validation. You're looking to share your truth, to connect from a deep, authentic place. Because it's not enough for you to stay in your own world anymore. You need that connection. You need to feel the warmth of people, the energy of the world, the vibration of life itself. It's what nourishes you, what fulfills you, what makes you grow even more. Because growth doesn't stop in isolation. True growth happens when you go back out into the world and allow yourself to be a part of it again. So, do you feel it? That uncontrollable desire to reconnect, to emerge from your isolation and immerse yourself back into the world. Not as before, not as an incomplete version of yourself, but as someone who has done the work, as someone who is ready to contribute, to share, to be a light for others. It's time the isolation is over. The desire to reconnect is the proof. And now, all you need to do is follow that call, that impulse that tells you it is time to open the doors of your heart and allow the world to see you, just as you are now. Transformed, renewed, and ready to reconnect with life in its purest and most authentic form. 7. Energy alignment with others. And the most powerful thing of all, the thing that really confirms to you that your isolation is coming to an end, is this subtle but incredibly profound feeling that your energy is aligning with others. You no longer feel that disconnection, that internal struggle to fit in or to be understood. Everything now flows in a way you haven't experienced before. It's as if the universe is working in your favor, opening doors, synchronizing encounters, and creating connections that once seemed impossible. What used to be a struggle, what once felt like pushing against an invisible wall, now becomes a natural flow. Relationships begin to fall into place. Conversations flow easily, and the people who show up in your life reflect exactly what you need at this moment. It's the magic of energetic alignment. Everything begins to fall into place because you have shifted, you have aligned yourself, and when that happens, the outside world responds in kind. You feel that harmony. You are no longer forcing situations. You are no longer trying to make things work through constant effort. Everything starts to flow. The people who come into your life do so at the perfect time, and you feel like for the first time, you are in the right place with the right people. There is no more friction. There is no more resistance. It is a deep sense of peace that tells you that you have reached a point of balance. It's something that goes beyond the rational. It's an energetic feeling. You realize that you're no longer trying to find your place, to make yourself understood, or to adjust your energy to fit into the environment. Now, your energy flows naturally with others. Interactions no longer feel forced or awkward. Everything fits together perfectly, as if you were walking to the exact rhythm of the universe. And it's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's the result of all that inner work you've done during your time in isolation. You've aligned your energy with your true essence. And now, that same energy begins to resonate with others in a much clearer and deeper way. You don't need to force anything anymore. Everything you need comes to you naturally because you're in tune with the world. What is happening now is a direct reflection of your internal evolution, the people who show up in your life, the situations you experience. Everything is perfectly aligned with the being you have become. You no longer have to worry about fitting into molds that aren't yours. You no longer have to adjust your light to make others feel comfortable. You are now fully you, and that authenticity is what attracts the right people and experiences to you. Relationships change. Things that once seemed difficult, full of misunderstandings and friction, now flow easily. There is a new openness, a new clarity in connections. You feel like you are no longer speaking from the ego or from the masks you used to wear. You are speaking from the soul. And when you speak from that place, people listen to you in a completely different way. And here's the beautiful thing. You realize that you no longer need to fight for acceptance. You no longer need to prove who you are or justify yourself. Your energy speaks for you. That energy you've cultivated in isolation, that inner peace you've achieved, is now reflected in every interaction you have. People sense your authenticity, your openness, your peace, and they respond to that naturally. You are aligned. It's as if after so much time of introspection and inner work, everything starts to fall into place. And not just in your personal life, but also in your professional life, in your projects, in every aspect of your existence. Doors open effortlessly. Opportunities come to you without you desperately looking for them. You no longer have to push. The universe is aligned with you because you have aligned yourself with it. This is one of the clearest signs that your isolation is ending. You no longer feel that disconnection, that separation between yourself and others. Relationships flow, situations align, and you feel like you have finally found your place in the world. And that place is not something external. It is something that was born within you. Because everything starts with your energy. You have transformed your being from within, and now the outside world reflects that transformation. There is no more doubt. There is no more resistance. There is harmony. There is a constant flow between who you are and what the world offers you. And that, my friend, is an immense power. Because when you are aligned with others, when relationships and opportunities flow effortlessly, everything becomes possible. You no longer feel that life is a series of obstacles that you must overcome. You feel that life is conspiring in your favor, and that energetic alignment with others is the confirmation that your isolation is over. You are no longer separate. You are connected, and that connection, that harmony, is what will take you to the next level of your evolution. Because now, with your energy aligned, with relationships flowing, there are no limits to what you can achieve. So, if you feel like everything is starting to fall into place, if relationships, opportunities, and people are coming to you with ease, it's because you've done the work. You've aligned yourself with the universe. And now, the universe is responding. It's time to move forward, to keep flowing, to keep growing, because this energetic alignment is just the beginning of everything that is to come. 8. Attraction towards inspiring activities. And now, what begins to happen is even more magical. You feel this uncontrollable attraction towards what inspires you. Suddenly, what was previously meaningless now has everything. Your energy has changed, it has evolved, and it is in a higher, more expansive place. You are no longer satisfied with the same old routines, with the activities that previously kept you in a state of inertia. Now you feel the need for more. You realize that you are attracted to different things. You feel driven to seek out activities that uplift you, that fill you with inspiration. It's as if the universe is pushing you into those spaces that expand your soul, that connect you to something bigger. You can no longer settle for the ordinary. You need the extraordinary. You need that spark that makes you feel alive, that makes you feel in tune with the flow of life. It's like everything inside you is suddenly crying out for inspiring experiences. That it could be art, music, time in nature, or that creative project you've always put off. You feel it in every fiber of your being. The desire to create, to be a part of something bigger than yourself, something that connects you to the beauty and intensity of the world. It's not just a superficial attraction. It's a deep calling. It's your soul seeking, because what is really happening here, what is so powerful and so evident, is that your energy is in a much higher place. You have gone through the process of introspection. You have faced your shadows. And now, your energy has been freed from the chains that kept it bound. You are vibrating at a different frequency. And that frequency leads you to seek out what inspires you, what elevates you, what connects you to the deepest part of your being. Nature begins to call you: the mountains, the sea, the forests. You feel how those open spaces, full of life, offer you something that no other experience can give you. It's as if being surrounded by the immensity of nature, your soul can breathe again. You realize that there is a force, a connection with nature, that fills you with peace and clarity. And every time you are there, surrounded by that beauty, you feel how your energy rises even higher, as if each step in that expansive environment helps you reconnect with your purest essence. Ink to expand. But it's not just nature. You also feel an unstoppable attraction towards creativity. Your hands, your mind, your heart seek to create, to shape something new. Whether through painting, writing, music, or any other creative project that has been lurking around in your head. Now, you feel the need to bring it to life. And it's not a superficial need. It's a need that comes from the soul. You feel that, by creating, you are channeling all that expansive energy that you have cultivated within yourself. This is a clear sign that you are in a different place. You are no longer at the same energy level as before. Your isolation has served its purpose. It has taken you deeper into yourself. And now, everything within you seeks to expand outward. You seek projects that inspire you, that fulfill you, that make you feel that you are in complete harmony with who you are and what you can become. Creative activities, moments in nature, everything that inspires you becomes a gateway to a more expansive energy. Every time you immerse yourself in an activity that elevates you, you feel something inside you switch on. You can no longer settle for what once satisfied you. You have outgrown those limits, and now you need experiences that reflect the growth you have achieved. And that attraction to what inspires you, to what elevates you, is further proof that your isolation is ending. You no longer need to be alone. You no longer need to be in that limited space of introspection. You now need to go out, create, be inspired, and be part of the world from this new place of expansion. Every time you engage in a creative activity, every time you lose yourself in the beauty of nature, you feel that you are in complete harmony with the energy of the universe. You feel your being expanding, your mind and heart opening to new possibilities. There are no limits anymore. Your energy has been raised to a level where everything seems possible. And the best thing of all is that you feel it. You feel it in every breath, in every moment in which you allow yourself to be a part of something bigger than yourself. It is in these moments of inspiration that you realize that your time in isolation has paid off, because what you are experiencing now, this creative impulse, this attraction towards what lifts you up, is the clear sign that you have reached a much higher level of energy. You are ready for more. You are ready to live in a constant state of expansion, of inspiration, of connection with what really moves you. So, follow that pull. Follow that call to what inspires you, to what uplifts you. Don't ignore it, because what's happening is that your soul is responding to the universe. It's telling you that it's time to leave isolation behind, to leave the limited space where you've been growing, and to go out and create, to live, to experience what truly inspires you. The end of your isolation, it is not just a return to ordinary life. It is the beginning of an extraordinary life, full of experiences that fill your soul, of projects that challenge and elevate you, of moments that connect you with the deepest part of your being. You are ready to be inspired and be a source of inspiration for the world. It is time to go out and create, to live with renewed energy, to follow that impulse that leads you to what makes you vibrate higher. That attraction to what inspires you is the clearest sign that your time of isolation is over. And now, it is time to fully expand, without fear, without limits, and let your light shine in everything you do. 9. Renewed interest in self-care and appearance. And something fascinating happens when we get to this point in the journey. Suddenly, you feel a renewed interest in yourself, but not in the superficial sense that society often sells us. It's not about vanity or impressing others. It's something much deeper. It's a reflection of your inner transformation. Your physical appearance begins to matter to you in a new way, that it's no longer just how you look, but how you present yourself to the world, how your outward image reflects that powerful, transformed self that has emerged from your isolation. It's as if your body, your appearance, is an extension of your soul. And now you realize that taking care of yourself is a way of honoring all that inner work you've done. Make no mistake, this is not superficiality. It is not narcissism. It is self-expression. It is self-respect. It is giving yourself the time, space, and love that you truly deserve. After so much time in the dark, facing your shadows, discovering your deepest truths, you now realize that your body is a temple, and it deserves to be cared for, honored, and presented in the best way possible. Your interest in self-care changes that it's not just about looking good anymore. It's about feeling good. It's about making sure your internal and external energy are aligned. You realize that by taking care of your appearance, you're sending a message to the universe. I'm ready. I'm here. I'm present. That haircut you've been putting off, that outfit that makes you feel more connected to yourself, those little self-care details that once seemed trivial now have a new meaning because you understand that what you project outward is a representation of what you have cultivated within yourself. It is as if your physical self is finally reaching the vibration of your spiritual self. You are aligning the internal with this renewed interest in your appearance as a symbol of something much bigger. It is a reflection that you are no longer hiding. You are no longer sheltering in the shadows or in constant introspection. You are ready to show yourself to the world. You are ready to allow your light to shine in all areas of your life, including the way you present yourself. And it's not just about physical appearance. It's a manifestation of self-respect. Because by taking time to take care of yourself, by choosing how you present yourself to the world, you are saying, I am worthy. My process has been important. My transformation deserves to be seen. It's a declaration of self-love, that everything you've been through during your isolation has had a purpose. And now you're ready to walk with that truth in every step. It is in this renewed interest in self-care that you realize you are no longer on the same wavelength. You have left behind that phase of withdrawal, of solitude, of deep introspection. You are emerging, and with that new version of yourself comes the need to reflect it in all areas of your life. You take care of yourself because you know you deserve it. You dress in a way that reflects the confidence you have found within yourself. It is not to please others. It is to show yourself to the world as you are, a being that has grown, that has evolved, that has been reborn. The external. And the most beautiful thing about all of this is that you no longer care what others think. Your interest in your appearance is not driven by external validation. It is driven by a new connection with yourself. It is an act of authenticity. You have been through the fire of transformation, and now you feel worthy of showing the self that has emerged. You take care of yourself because you love who you are. Every gesture, every choice in your appearance becomes a ritual of self-esteem. When you look in the mirror, you no longer see someone who is trying to fit in or please others. You see someone who has found their truth. You see someone who respects themselves, who values themselves, and who is ready to face the world with that hard-earned authenticity. This renewed interest in your appearance is a clear sign that isolation is over, because you no longer need to hide. You no longer need to retreat into silence. You are now ready to show the world who you are, and you do so with every little act of self-care, with every detail you choose to express who you really are. It is an act of self-expression. It is no longer enough to simply be. You now want your presence in the world to reflect all that you have achieved internally. You want your exterior to match your interior. You want every aspect of your being to be aligned, from the depths of your soul to the most superficial part of your appearance. This renewed interest in self-care is an act of love towards yourself, that it's your way of saying that everything you've been through, all the pain, all the inner work, has had a purpose. And now, you're ready to present yourself to the world with pride, with confidence, and with a new energy that can't be ignored. So, if you feel the desire to take better care of yourself, to spend more time on your appearance, don't ignore it. It's a sign that you're ready to come out of isolation, ready to present yourself to the world as a new version of yourself, ready to walk with confidence, with dignity, and with the energy of someone who has gone through the most profound transformation. This concern for your appearance is not a trivial thing. It is an outward manifestation of your inner growth. And with every step you take, with every care you give yourself, you show the world that you are ready for whatever comes next. You are ready to receive, to create, to connect. Because now, your energy, your presence, and your appearance are in complete alignment. And that, my friend, is the greatest power of all. 10. Ease in social environments. And then something profoundly shifts. What once drained you, what made you feel like your energy was draining with every interaction, now fuels you, fills you, recharges you. Social relationships, those you once avoided or tolerated with effort, now inspire you. What used to be an emotional battleground has transformed into fertile ground for growth and authentic connection. Every conversation is an exchange of energy, but this time, you don't feel like something is being taken from you, but rather that you are sharing from a place of abundance. Do you realize the power of this transformation? You are no longer the person who needs to constantly retreat to protect your peace. You have reached a new level of inner strength. Before, you felt like every social interaction overwhelmed you, that you needed to muster up the courage just to go out and be part of the world. That is behind you. You now move with a lightness and confidence that once seemed impossible. You have moved past the isolation phase. You are no longer a stranger in a crowd. You are yourself, fully, without masks, without shields. You are living from a place where your energy flows naturally, and others notice it. They sense your authenticity, and that is why you are inadvertently drawing people to you. Not because you are trying to impress or meet expectations, but because your energy, your presence, has reached a level that resonates deeply with those around you. This is monumental, that you've reached a point where you're no longer afraid of losing yourself in interactions, because you've finally found your center. You're no longer constantly struggling to maintain your balance. Now, being with others strengthens you, energizes you, nourishes you emotionally and spiritually. And it's not just about being present in happy moments or deep conversations. Even in everyday interactions, you feel a lightness, a flow that wasn't there before. This ease in social settings is a powerful sign that you have emerged from isolation. What once drained you now uplifts you. You realize that isolation was not a punishment or even a permanent protection, but a necessary phase so that you could do the inner work that brought you to this point. And now you are ready. Look back for a moment. Think about how you used to feel in those moments of solitude, when isolation was necessary to protect your energy, to prevent external chaos from interfering with your internal process. You retreated because you needed to. You had to face your shadows, your inner truth, in order to rebuild yourself from within. But now, isolation has served its purpose. You no longer need that refuge. You have grown beyond it. Relationships that were once draining are now opportunities to share your authenticity. Interactions that once seemed banal are now moments of real connection, where you can be yourself without fear of being judged or misunderstood. You have stopped feeling like you need to conform to what others expect of you. Your energy is now firm. Clear, and here is the most shocking part of all: people notice it. They sense that change in you. You are no longer the person who is trying to fit in or please. You are you, in your purest form, and that is what attracts others. You don't need to try hard. Your presence, your calm, your inner confidence are magnetic. You are radiating an energy that says, I have been through the fire and I have come out transformed, and that is something that others cannot ignore. This is the definitive sign that your isolation is over, that it's not just that you feel more comfortable socially, it's that you are now at peace with yourself. You can be anywhere, with anyone, and know that you won't lose your center. You no longer need to retreat to recharge, because your energy flows naturally from a place of wholeness. You have achieved a deep balance, and that balance is what allows you to move through the world with a lightness and confidence that once seemed impossible. Are authentic. But this is not the end. It is just the beginning. Your evolution does not end here. Now that you have left the isolation phase behind, you are ready for new experiences, new connections, new adventures. You are ready to expand in ways you had not even imagined. You no longer need to hide. You are here in the world, fully present, fully you. So here goes my final invitation, that if you have felt that transformation, if you feel that the isolation is over and you are ready for what is coming, don't leave without subscribing to the channel, activating the bell, and leaving me a comment with the phrase, "My isolation is over." This is the beginning of something much bigger. You have everything you need within you, and now is the time to share it with the world. See you in the next video.